Chapter 1. Why meditate? Why do it? This pool is just like that. You are able to see into the water, perhaps a foot or at the most 3 feet deep. If you stumbled on this pool while walking through the woods, you may guess it was about 6+ feet deep. A different way your consciousness is like to this pool is because there's more to it than you may think. If you're studying your own consciousness without meditation, you are able to see that you've a waking state, a sleeping state, and perhaps daydream states and dreaming states while you rest. That's about all we understand about ourselves on first inspection. This pool, like your brain, has a different dimension to it that you don't see. Your consciousness is deep. Truly deep. It may make this hole in the ground with water appear like a pothole. It's so deep and filled up with things to expose. Meditation is a procedure of discovery. It's like you're exploring something that has never been seen previously. Really, it hasn't. It's you. It's all that is below your consciousness. A few individuals believe that below our surface consciousness is a universal consciousness. I can't concur or take issue with that, but it's an intriguing way to view things. Individuals that meditate in a simple way by centering on the breath till the brain stops and then simply experiencing a non-moving brain tend to have like experiences, but they're likely never the same. They're singular to the individual. Nonetheless, they're similar. Chapter 2. How to begin. Get ready. Discover a place that's quiet. A place where you can't hear a television or music or dogs barking or individuals talking or autos driving by is best. This may be really hard for you. You might need to go someplace to discover a place to meditate. You might need to discover a meditation group listed in your local newspaper that meets in a quiet place on a regular basis. Discovering a quiet place is really important as many distractions may prove too much to manage and you might stop meditation as soon as you begin. You'll need a place that has a pleasant temperature, not too hot, not too cold. Air blowing directly on you isn't contributing to meditation. Discover a place free of or comparatively free of insects that will be flying by, landing on you, biting you, and so forth. Initially, these things may greatly distract you. When you've discovered a quiet place that you are able to sit undisturbed for up to 60 minutes, you'll have to find a comfortable place to sit. You'll be sitting from 5 to 50 minutes, maybe, again up to you, so you'll have to discover a posture that works for you. The simplest for me was to sit cross-legged with my right foot on top of the crease produced by my left calf and thigh. There's no reason to sit any more than 60 minutes. Your back ought to be straight. Put your hands in your lap. Your fingers will naturally curl inwards if you're relaxed, so simply let them do that. You're trying to find a comfy posture in which you are able to stay alert, not get sleepy, and not fall over when you're relaxed, and yet you ought to be as unstrained as possible. You won't find a painless position initially, though you are able to attempt if you wish. You may sit on a pillow or meditation cushion. You may lean back against a wall, a sofa, a bed, anything to help support your back if you back pain. If you're limber, you may wish to attempt the full lotus or the half lotus poses, as they're really stable, and a few individuals may meditate for hours without too much irritation. There will be a lot of things going on in your brain, in your body. Your body will be attempting to adapt to the position that it is in. You might feel pain. You might feel hot. You might feel cold. Your breathing might be fast. Or it might be slow. Your brain might be filled with thoughts. So many thoughts that you can't possibly center on any single thought particularly. You might feel an emotion. you might have questions forming. View all the turmoil your body and brain is going through even as you unwind sitting in one spot with your eyes shut. Why is there turmoil when you're doing nothing truly, just sitting down? As you watch it, you'll observe a lot of things. You can view feelings, physical senses, dread, affection, thoughts. You might be watching your thoughts, hearing them for the first time and in another way. Don't participate. Simply watch and center the assorted things. Discover how your attention to something may isolate it from everything else happening. Also discover how things link together. One thought supplies a jumping-off point for a chain of linked thoughts that may wind up going completely away from the original guest. It's this attention that you'll use to center on breathing as you watch it come into and leave the body. Consider yourself as a scientist or a pupil. You're a student of your awareness, of your body and brain. You're going to see what makes you tick. You're going to learn a great deal about yourself. If you feel inclined, maintain a short journal following each meditation session about what you experienced. Chapter 3. Your breath. Crucial. When you observe the breath, there are a lot of things to observe. The pace of taking a breath, the consistency of the tempo of breathing, does it always remain same as you sit? The smoothness of the breath or the abnormality of it? The depth or shallowness of breath, and does it alter over time, or is each breath a carbon copy of the last? Where do you sense the breath? Your nose? Your throat? Your mouth? Your lungs? Your tummy? Do you observe your diaphragm muscle beneath your ribs contracting and decompressing to enable you to breathe? Commonly individuals keep their mouths closed and breath through the nose, but if you've a cold or a nasal condition that forbids you from doing so, then breathing through the mouth is all right. But your mouth might become really dry with sitting a while. So observe your breath. At what point does it enter and leave the body? What physical sense does it produce? Where precisely is that sensation? A few of us feel it at the tip of the nose, a few further up the nose. Where do you feel it? The breath is the center meditation. Truly, only two things are required for excellent changes to happen inside your brain: a focus on the breath and mindfulness during the day when not meditating. Begin your common sitting session with getting comfy in your sitting posture and watch all the matters going on with your body and brain. Attempt to unwind and calm the brain down. Observe the physical sensations happening. Observe the breath. Watch the breath. Observe where the breath enters and exits the body at the nose. Attempt to narrow your focus to simply a small place in the nose where the breath may be felt entering and exiting the body. It's this tiny area of centering that's crucial to meditation. Once you discover the spot to center on, do so. Your brain will likely still be filled up with additional thoughts, and you do occasionally feel your body crying for attention, a cramp, a little back pain, a little foot pain, muscle pain, and that's what is going to occur. It's supposed to occur, so you'll know that, at this point, you're on the correct trail. You're doing what you have to be doing. Center on the breath at that little point in your nose. Watch that spot for the whole in-breath and the whole out-breath. As you observe that the attention of your brain has shifted from the breath to whatever other thought disturbed, refocus on the breath at that little spot in your nose. That's all. That's the major effort of meditation in this style. Center on the breath. Your whole attention is on the breath for the in and out breaths. Don't get angry at yourself. It's not a competition to do it properly. It's quite impossible for anybody to center on the breath with total attention soon after beginning meditation. Just keep refocusing on the breath. Chapter 4. The Here and Now. Synopsis. There's something else to do now, and day after day, from this point forward. It has to do with mindfulness. To be mindful means to be aware. Specifically, being aware of the here and now. Not the past or future, the here and now. In the here and now is where we're living. Each moment that goes by we're only living in the here and now. We may only experience what is true in the present. The past is filled up with memories which are selective, incomplete, occasionally even fake. The future is filled up with unknowns even more than the past. The here and now is all we have in which to know reality. In which to watch our awareness and see what it's doing in the present. The present. When you discover yourself living in the here and now, you're empowered to behave in a way that may instantly alter everything. Detecting yourself cognizant of the here and now is occasionally tricky. If you play a game or if you play a sport, do something active, garden or rake or shovel or climb a ladder. During these times, you're in the here and now. Your brain is aware, your brain is centered just on that experience. When you're playing a game, you're the game. There is little intruding thought about the past or time to come. But, when we're quiet, the brain sifts through its mind candy and tosses some out for our thought processes to chew on a little. If we don't have external brain candy like the television, radio, computer, conversation, book, magazine, iPods, cellular phone, and so forth, then the brain will regurgitate a little of its own for you to analyze and play back in your mind. The brain is a candy producer. It produces thoughts about the time to come and past perpetually that are totally unnecessary, but that fill each and every one of our brains with trash to keep our minds active. Though our bodies don't like to be active all the time we're awake, our brains do. The mind isn't used to being calm, so what it does is relive the past or play out the time to come in scenarios that might or might not occur. The mind is a recorder of the past and an odds maker and analyst of the time to come. Chapter 5. Things that might happen. Synopsis. The unusual happenings that might or might not happen during meditation that I think are normal and not cause for alarm include but are not limited to happenings, sensations, slow respiration, very, very slow, shallow respiration for lengthy times, stopped breathing. The breath might become so shallow that you believe it's stopped. Numbness in your hands, not feeling your hands, but different than pins and needles of falling asleep. If you jiggle your fingers or move your hand in this state, you are able to feel things, though the feelings are a little muted, not quite as sharp. Numbness in arms, legs, feet, chest, body. A feeling as though there was no body to confine consciousness. A feeling of fatness or amplified body, head, brain, consciousness. A feeling of greatly expanded consciousness, whereby one may feel consciousness fill the room or amplify to room size, or world size, universe size dimensions. A feeling of being at one with everything. To not see any distinction between anything and your own awareness. During waking hours at any time, not scarcely while meditating, one might start to feel meditative-like states. One might become aware of a blissful, alive, aware state that's accompanied by a light feeling the body is light or absent, and the brain is simply experiencing without naming in human terms, utilizing the stored memory about what it's experiencing. Mental activity changes. A belief starts to surface that things are not opposite, there are no dualities, there's no right and wrong, there isn't any judgment, things merely are as they are, and it's all right. It's correct or the way that it ought to be. A gradual loss of importance or meaning affiliated with physical matters or material things. Things that were humanly seen as pretty or ugly don't seem as either, they simply are. There might be a feeling of intense emotion as if affection was pouring forth from your very soul, an exceedingly blissful, ecstatic state in which you experience such perfect joy that it's the most incredible state you've ever conceived of, and more so than you could have ever imagined. You might meet somebody and know or feel that you know about them, their personality, their real drives or motivations. This might happen inside seconds of knowing them. While meditating, or later, while carrying out your day, you might hear a noise, a dog bark, an airplane pass overhead, and you might know or feel that the sound was slashes you, as you're not separate from anything, it was you that you heard, and the dog is you that's looking at you and you're it, and etc. Everything is interconnected, interlaced, interwoven, and it's all as it ought to be for whatever reason. There are many, many experiences that happen that simply aren't remembered well. So, you might have some of the above or you might not. Your experience might be entirely different, more animated or more hushed. Regardless, don't get caught in the experience. Simply let it occur, and when nothing is going on, center on the breathing with all your attention. Wrapping up. There's a natural state of morality that takes place as one meditates and the ego starts to fade away. One naturally comes to a state of being in which there's no harm done to anybody through thought, speech, or action. There's no want, no attachment to anything, and so one is generous, unselfish, caring. One in that state doesn't broadcast negativity in any manner. There's no living in the past or the time to come any longer, and so no disappointment. There aren't any promises made to other people that turn out unfulfilled. There isn't any self-serving conversation. When you've experienced the absence of the ego and thought, and the mind has stopped, you'll live in a state that so few others even know is possible. You'll connect with and strengthen both your conscious and subconscious.